What if I told you that earning more money won't make you rich, but thinking differently about money will? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why some people make millions and still go broke, while others start with almost nothing and slowly build lasting wealth. This audiobook summary will help you understand how money really works, not through complicated formulas or boring theory, but through simple ideas that change the way you see income, spending, investing, and risk. Most people believe that money itself is the answer. Earn more, save more, and everything will be fine. But if that were true, then why do lottery winners lose everything? Why do athletes and celebrities who earn more in 1 year than most people earn in a lifetime end up in debt? And why do smart, well-educated people struggle financially despite working hard? The uncomfortable truth is this: money does not make you rich. Financial intelligence does. In this summary, you'll learn how wealth is built by learning where to put your money, how to protect it, how to grow it, and, most importantly, how to think clearly when financial problems appear. You'll see why blindly buying assets doesn't work, why expensive tools don't guarantee success, and why investing time in learning is more powerful than investing money without understanding. Think of it like golf. You can buy the best clubs in the world, but unless you learn how to swing, you'll never play well. Money works the same way. Without financial intelligence, even large amounts of money disappear. With it, even small amounts can grow. This audiobook summary is not about getting rich overnight. There are no shortcuts here. Instead, it will show you how to become smarter with money step by step, so you can make better decisions, avoid costly mistakes, and build wealth that lasts. If you're ready to stop guessing and start understanding money, then let's begin your journey toward becoming financially intelligent. What is financial intelligence? Money is one thing that people all over the world understand. When it comes to money, borders disappear. Culture and language no longer matter, because without saying a word, we all know exactly what money means and why it matters. We often hear stories about people who suddenly become rich. Maybe they won the lottery, went viral on the internet, or landed a high-profile job on national television. We also hear about celebrities who spend massive amounts of money on huge mansions, luxury cars, and extravagant parties. But would it surprise you to know that many people who once had a lot of money later ended up deeply in debt, or even completely broke? The real problem begins when someone does not know how to handle their money. Financial intelligence is the ability to solve money-related problems. And here's the interesting part. Once you learn how to solve financial problems, they don't just go away. They actually make you smarter and wealthier. You start recognizing patterns. You understand what to do when a similar situation appears again in the future. You might be the smartest student in your class, but when it comes to financial intelligence, you could still be completely unprepared. If you don't change your attitude toward money and don't learn how money really works, you will keep facing the same financial problems again and again. And each time, solving them will feel just as difficult as before. Financial problems are a lot like a bad tooth. At first, the pain is small, so you ignore it. You don't want to accept that it might get worse. This is exactly how people treat money problems. They avoid them because thinking about them feels uncomfortable. But until you face the problem directly, it doesn't get solved. Then one day, the pain becomes unbearable. It starts affecting everything. Your performance at school or work drops because you can't concentrate. Eventually, you find yourself lying in bed, skipping responsibilities, overwhelmed by pain and frustration. This is very similar to what happens with money problems. You stop focusing at work, your performance suffers, and in extreme cases, you may even lose your job. To survive, you start relying on credit cards. The bills keep growing, but your income doesn't. Soon, you don't have enough money to pay back what you owe. When financial problems are not solved at the root, they only create more problems. To explain this difference in thinking, the author uses the idea of two fathers, one rich and one poor. The poor father tried to solve his financial problems by going back to school and earning a doctorate degree. Even though he became academically and professionally smart, he never became financially smart. As a result, his money problems remained unsolved. The rich father, on the other hand, chose a different path. He treated financial problems as challenges. He understood that every financial difficulty was an opportunity to increase his financial IQ. And because he invested time and effort in learning how money works, his financial intelligence truly grew. This is the core message. Being smart in school or in a profession is not enough. If you want real financial freedom, you must learn to think smartly about money itself. Financial IQ 1. Making more money. Before we get into the 5 parts of financial IQ, there's one small but important thing to clear up. Financial intelligence is the bigger idea. It's the part of your overall intelligence that helps you deal with money challenges, how you think through financial problems, and how you respond when things get tough. Financial IQ is simply a way to measure that intelligence, the way an IQ test measures mental ability. In other words, financial intelligence is the engine, and financial IQ is the score that shows how strong that engine is. Now, when you hear the first financial IQ, make more money, it's easy to assume the chapter is talking about landing a high-paying job, the kind of job where you imagine a huge salary, a shiny title, and a lifestyle upgrade overnight. But reality doesn't always work like that. You can send your resume to the best companies and still never get a call back. They might want someone with years of experience, or they may have requirements so unrealistic that it feels like they're asking for a superhero, not an employee. Kiyosaki's point is different. He says making more money isn't just about chasing the biggest paycheck. It's about becoming the kind of person who can earn more, because your skills, your confidence, and your ability to solve problems keep increasing. Even if you start with a low-income job, you can still grow your income dramatically if you're willing to learn from your mistakes, stay humble, and push yourself beyond your comfort zone. This isn't just about working harder. It's about learning better. So each problem you solve trains you for the next, bigger challenge. To explain this, Kiyosaki shares a story from his own life. At one point, he had 2 impressive career paths waiting for him, opportunities that looked great on paper and seemed more secure. Yet he walked away from them and chose something that paid less. Instead of going for a prestigious route like Standard Oil or becoming a pilot in the Marines, he chose to become a salesman at Xerox in Honolulu, Hawaii. Why would anyone do that? Because he wasn't choosing a job. He was choosing a training ground. Xerox offered strong professional sales training, and Kiyosaki saw that training as a way to rebuild himself from the inside out. He knew he was shy. He knew he feared rejection, and he understood something most people ignore. Fear silently controls income. If you're afraid to be told no, you avoid situations where no is possible, and you also avoid the opportunities that come with it. Sales forced him to face that fear every day, in the real world, with real pressure. And because he invested his time in learning, everything changed. Within 2 years, he became the #1 salesman in the company. Not only did he grow his confidence, he started earning more than those earlier career paths that seemed so attractive in the beginning. That experience became a turning point. It wasn't the sales job itself that made him wealthy. It was what the sales job turned him into. Later, he used those same skills to start his own business, because the ability to sell, communicate, and handle rejection is one of the most powerful tools an entrepreneur can have. Then he takes the idea even further. Sometimes the best way to make more money isn't direct at all. For example, you might open your own small business, something like a restaurant. Yes, you'll spend money at first. You'll invest in the space, the equipment, the supplies, and the staff. You may not even see much profit in the beginning, but that process teaches you things a salary never will. It forces you to understand costs, pricing, cash flow, customer behavior, and leadership. It forces you to become financially sharper because the business doesn't care about your excuses. Either you learn, adapt, and improve, or you lose. And that's exactly the lesson. When moving forward feels hard, don't quit too early. Stay in the process long enough to learn what it's trying to teach you. Because the person who grows financially isn't the person who gets lucky once. It's the person who learns how to win again and again. You start valuing the money you earn step by step through skill and discipline, not the kind of money that drops into your lap like a lottery prize and disappears just as quickly. In Kiyosaki's world, making more money begins with a simple shift. Stop chasing the biggest number and start building the strongest version of you. Financial IQ 2. Protecting your money. When you earn money, it's only natural to want to protect it. After all, you worked hard for it. It doesn't feel right that someone else should simply take it away. And yet, that is exactly what happens, again and again, whenever a person or an organization finds an opportunity to claim a piece of your money. You are financially intelligent when you know how to legally pay less tax and keep more of what you earn. Protecting your money means making sure that the percentage of income you keep is greater than the percentage that disappears into the hands of people and systems designed to take it from you. What makes this dangerous is that the biggest money takers are often the ones we least expect. You may believe they are standing behind you to support you because they seem loyal or trustworthy. But in reality, some of them are standing there because it gives them easier access to your pocket. Not everyone who smiles at you is protecting your financial interests. There are many people in the world who will try to outsmart you when it comes to money. Some have years of experience doing it. Others use their education, titles, or professional language to confuse you and make you feel small. The only real way to stay safe in this situation is to learn how to protect your own money. As the book keeps reminding us, the more time you invest in becoming financially smart, the wealthier you become. As your knowledge grows, your money starts to grow with it. Constantly thinking and talking about money, how much to spend, how much to save, where it's going, can feel stressful. Many people avoid these conversations because they don't want that pressure in their lives. But here's the hard truth. If you don't learn these things now, you will pay for it later. You either solve your financial problems today, or you unknowingly help financial predators become rich at your expense. Imagine, you are a farmer with a field full of healthy corn. That corn represents your money. Now imagine rabbits and insects sneaking into your field. Those are the financial predators. Taxes, fees, bad advice, and hidden costs that slowly eat away at what you've grown. What's dangerous is that these pests often don't look threatening. They seem small, harmless, even innocent. But over time, they can destroy your entire harvest. If you take the time to learn how to protect your field, how to keep the rabbits and insects away, you won't constantly worry about your crops disappearing. By solving the problem early, you make life easier for yourself in the future. You already know what to do when danger appears, and once your harvest is protected, you're free to focus on bigger goals, like expanding your fields, improving your yield, or finding better markets to sell your crops. Protecting your money isn't about fear, it's about awareness, and awareness is one of the strongest signs of true financial intelligence. Financial IQ 3. Budgeting your money? Planning where your money will go is extremely important. Without a clear plan, it becomes hard to meet even your basic needs. But Kiyosaki takes budgeting a step further. He says you can only become financially intelligent when you expand the way you think about earning money, not just the way you spend it. The key idea here is simple but powerful. Build your budget as if you are already rich. This means aiming for a surplus budget. A surplus budget doesn't automatically mean cutting your lifestyle or living in discomfort. In fact, this idea connects directly back to financial IQ number 1, making more money. If you don't want to reduce your expenses, then you must increase your income. To become financially smart and eventually wealthy, you need to stop thinking in terms of shortage and start thinking in terms of excess. A deficit budget happens when your expenses are higher than your income. That's when debt starts to grow and financial stress takes over. A surplus budget, on the other hand, means your income is greater than your expenses. The goal is not just to survive each month, but to move forward with control and confidence. So how do you create a surplus budget? It starts with understanding your spending habits. You learn to separate what is truly necessary from what can be delayed or avoided. This may sound strange at first, but one of the most important rules Kiyosaki teaches is this: pay yourself first. Save and invest before paying everyone else, because this is your hard-earned money, and you deserve to keep and grow it. Most people do the exact opposite. They pay bills first, pay others first, and whatever is left, if anything, is meant for saving. That's why their budget slowly turns into a deficit, and there will be times when money feels tight, when you can't immediately pay everyone. Talking about this is easier than doing it, but once again, the solution comes back to financial IQ number 1, find ways to earn more. Kiyosaki shares a personal story to make this real. After he got married, he and his wife hired an accountant to track their expenses. They had many bills to pay and many people to repay. Their accountant, named Betty, often argued with them because they insisted on paying themselves first. Instead of using their income to immediately clear debts, they saved and invested first. Over time, Betty began to understand what they were doing. They weren't being irresponsible. They were deliberately creating a surplus budget. It wasn't easy. Toward the end of many months, they often ran short of cash. They had money set aside for themselves, but not enough to pay everyone else. At one point, they were carrying nearly $4,000 in debt. Instead of letting ego get in the way, they sat down with their accountant and worked seriously on their budget. They realized something important. If they truly wanted to become financially smart and wealthy, they needed additional sources of income. So they began looking for extra work and new opportunities to earn more. By facing their financial problem immediately, they stopped it from returning again and again. What could have become a long-term struggle turned into a learning opportunity. Because they chose to confront the problem instead of avoiding it, money no longer controlled them. They had learned to control money, and that is the true power of budgeting with financial intelligence. Financial IQ 4. Leveraging your money. The simplest way to understand leverage is this: doing more with less. In financial terms, leverage means using other people's money, usually borrowed money, to increase the power of your own investment. For example, if a bank finances 80% of a real estate investment, your leverage becomes 1 to 4. For every $1 you put in, the bank provides 4 more. People invest with leverage because it makes spending easier and gives the feeling of control over a much larger amount of money. But leverage without control is useless and dangerous. It's like buying a car without a steering wheel. You may be moving fast, but you have no idea where you're going, and a crash is almost guaranteed. When markets rise, people often overestimate the value of their homes. They feel richer on paper, so they borrow even more against that rising value. Everything looks fine until the market turns. When prices fall, those same homeowners are left drowning in debt, owning properties worth less than what they owe on them. Every investment involves leverage in some form, but returns are never guaranteed. This can sound risky, and it is when you invest in things you don't control. A good example of something you can't control is market value. You don't decide how much the market thinks your house or property is worth. The example Kiyosaki gives comes from his own experience. A bank financed about 80% of his $17 million property. That meant for every dollar he invested, the bank contributed 4. On the surface, this sounds risky, but Kiyosaki wasn't afraid because the property itself was under his control. He controlled how much rent to charge. He controlled how the building was maintained. He controlled how well it was managed, and because of that, improving the property directly benefited him. The better the management, the stronger the cash flow. As mentioned earlier, people use banks when investing because it makes cash management easier. There's another advantage, too. Money borrowed from a bank is typically tax-free. That alone can make leverage extremely powerful when used wisely. Now imagine Kiyosaki decides to increase the rent on the property. He installs 24-hour security cameras and adds new washing machines on every floor. The bank covers the cost of these improvements. But because Kiyosaki controls the rent, the increased income goes entirely to him. This is the key lessons of leverage. It is not about borrowing blindly. It is about borrowing with control. When you control the asset, the income, and the management, leverage becomes a tool for growth rather than a source of fear. Used intelligently, it allows your money to work harder without you working harder. Financial IQ 5. Increasing your financial knowledge. Throughout this entire book, one message keeps coming up again and again. Financial knowledge is what makes you smarter and wealthier. It not only helps you grow your money, but also protects you from putting it at unnecessary risk. At the same time, too much information can become a problem on its own. When people are flooded with information from all directions, it's easy to feel confused, overwhelmed, or even paralyzed. So how do you know whether a piece of information is financially useful or just noise? The first thing to ask is how relevant it is right now. Some information may be valuable today, but completely useless tomorrow. The second thing to consider is the source. Where is this information coming from? Is the person or platform giving it to you reliable? Do they have real experience, or are they just repeating headlines and trends? The third and most powerful skill is the ability to connect past information with what's happening now, and then use that understanding to anticipate future financial trends. This skill doesn't just help you spot opportunities, it also helps you recognize false or misleading information from far away before it can harm you. Kiyosaki explains this idea using lessons he learned during his time in the military. In the Army, Information has value only if it reaches the right people at the right time. Imagine soldiers discover that the enemy plans to attack tomorrow, but they fail to inform the general or major. That information becomes useless. In the same way, a business advantage loses all value if it's discovered too late. There's another layer to this example. If information comes from a spy, their identity must be protected. Revealing the source could cause panic or chaos. This shows how delicate and powerful information can be, and how carefully it must be handled. The same principles apply in the world of money. Timing, accuracy, and discretion all matter. Even though this may sound complicated or intimidating, don't let it discourage you. Making mistakes is part of the learning process. Each financial mistake teaches you something valuable, and over time, you become better and more confident in your money decisions. And this brings us back to the core idea from the very beginning of the book. It is not money itself that makes you rich. It is the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom about money that make you financially smart and ultimately financially free. Conclusion. This book teaches us a powerful truth. Money alone cannot make you rich. To grow your wealth and to keep it, you need knowledge. You need the kind of understanding that strengthens your financial intelligence and helps you make smarter decisions over time. The moment you start seeing financial knowledge itself as a form of wealth, everything begins to change. You don't just become richer in numbers, you become richer in confidence and control. Throughout the book, we explored the 5 parts of financial IQ. We learned that increasing income is not just about earning more, but about becoming more capable. We saw why protecting money is just as important as making it, and how budgeting with a surplus mindset changes the way you think about spending and saving. We discovered how leverage, when used with control, can multiply results instead of creating fear. And finally, we understood that continuously increasing financial knowledge is what keeps you ahead in a world that never stops changing. Kiyosaki also reminds us that success is never a straight line. His journey was filled with setbacks, mistakes, and difficult moments, but each one became a lesson. Instead of giving up, he learned from those experiences and used them to grow stronger and smarter. Whenever you reach a point where you feel confused about money, when you're unsure of what decision to make, pause and think like financially intelligent people do. Think in terms of surplus, not shortage. Look for ways to increase income instead of only cutting expenses. And most importantly, keep learning. Investing in financial education is one of the safest investments you can make because no one can take that knowledge away from you. Build a strong foundation of understanding, layer by layer, so that when financial challenges appear, and they will, you're prepared. With the right mindset and the right knowledge, every problem becomes an opportunity to grow smarter, stronger, and more financially free.